This is great.
We got 25 minutes. We got to go.
Hey.
Let's go. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Hump
day.
We're super excited to have you guys on with us. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Janelle Villiers. That guy over there is Winston.
She's still pointing the wrong way.
Anyway, I am really excited to welcome you to our channel where we are unapologetic about talking about the ugly come up that exists for business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and the like. You know, I always give this story, right? Like people can really relate to this. You know how like people hear how someone had nothing and then all of a sudden they have this massive success in their business, right? And you're like, that's amazing. But what happened in the middle, right? Like what happened during the ugly come up? And so that's what we're here to talk about. And we have different guests that come on, and sometimes it's just myself and Winston, but we promise to always give you the real, give you the 100.
Absolutely.
As the kids say. I don't know if I said that right. And so we love to dialogue with you guys. So please interact with us. That's why we do this live. Post comments, right? Ask questions. Put that in the comment section below. Happy hump day, Jeannie. So that way, just like Jeannie just did, if you make a comment or ask a question, we can actually respond immediately to your question. We love the interaction. And so we just want to keep that going. And so thank you again for joining us. Welcome. We have 25 minutes. No matter if you're a guest or if it's just the two of us, we have 25 minutes to answer the question. And so I don't want to beleaguer us any longer, but I'm really excited for today's topic.
No. Today's definitely going to be a good one. And if you are, again, you guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You want to be notified every single time Janelle and I are live. And if you have not yet made the decision on joining our Patreon community, guys, trust us, you are missing out. That's where the tea is the hottest. I am telling you. Not only do you get some extra footage or, you know, some extra sauce from our guests that come on, but you also have an opportunity as a community member to take part in giving us the questions that we not only answer ourselves, that we have for our guests. And today is no different there. So thank you to our community members for today's question. Guys, make sure you go lock that in today. It is in the description if you want to join us in our community. All right. So drum roll, please, Janelle. Today's question. Oh, that's that island vibe. She's out in Florida, folks. That's like the drum changed. There we go. All right, boom. Today's question.
Can being an author increase your business's success?
This is good.
This is really good. So who do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
I can jump in. Okay. So this is a good question. I'll say this, I happen to now be an author thanks to the pandemic and business partners that we've been blessed to have become associates with through our journey in network marketing. And I'll share my book here as I talk about that. So here's my book, Break This Success.
There it is.
This came out during the pandemic. Actually, a lot of even me speaking publicly, a lot of that stuff came about because of this. So I'm going to talk about my experience becoming an author, and I'm excited because Janelle is also writing a book actually right now. It's going to drop later this year, or actually in a few weeks if I'm not mistaken,
this summer.
Yeah. So we're going to have an opportunity to hear now Janelle's side, because the beautiful thing about this is we both went about this process of becoming authors very different. But I'm going to share first my reasons. Janelle, you can talk about what your reasoning was, and then we'll kind of walk, I guess you guys through what we consider our experience, and you tell us where the success comes in. So for me, I actually had no ambition or desire to, what's going on, DC, like to become an author at all. It was actually seeing an ad from one of my mentors talking about, and this is the example that he shared in a conversation I had after the fact. It's when you're in a room with a group of people, let's say you're sitting at a speech or something being given, and they have different guests coming up and speaking. As people come up, you're hearing about what it is, their accolades, different things. He goes, who's the person, though, that you tend to have more belief in what they're about to say, And the example he shared was somebody coming up and they're saying, and then the author of this book, blah, 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 is Janelle Villiers. And as Janelle comes up now, granted, everyone else has been in her field, Janelle now has put out a book on this subject. Immediately, and you guys can answer this for yourself, she becomes an authority above the other people who are in the room speaking on the same subject. Because the belief is if someone's been able to get a book put out, that there's some bit of information that they have some sense of knowledge on, or again, authority in, that they could speak to this. So for me, when it got presented to me like that, I saw that and I thought, wow, that would make a big difference, because that's for me where I'm looking to take my brand as Winston. I don't want to just be a consumer in the marketplace. I want to be someone that's a producer. And so it's about stepping into that role of authority. So that was my come from, in looking at just even this idea of becoming an author.
So I love the why, right? Like, why would somebody even want to become an author? Because, like, if you're out there and you're a solopreneur, yes. If you're a solopreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a network marketer, whatever area of business you're in, and you're like out there and you're hustling and you're doing your like daily grind and things like that, a book might seem like the last thing you have time for.
Absolutely.
The last thing that you want to do, right? Because you're out there, you're getting things done, you're making things happen, you're bringing in the big bucks. And so I think the why someone decides to write a book when you're a business owner is really, really important. And so what Winston just outlined is key. It's so key. It's because it's one thing for you to be out there and to be hustling, but like, imagine you just didn't have to hustle as much. Imagine you didn't even have to say as much, because the minute someone drops, oh, and they're an author, people are already listening to you. I mean, what you have to say now is going to carry that much more weight. Whereas if you weren't an author, then maybe there's some hesitancy in people believing you or taking you at your word, right? But that to me is really key. Why do you want to write a book? Now, certainly, if you really feel like you have no time, like we're not out here telling you like you need to stop what you're doing and go write a book.
Yeah.
That is not what we're saying. However, like Winston said, I think during the lockdowns when COVID first entered our consciousness, I believe that a lot of people had more time. I know that was my story.
Absolutely.
I had a lot more time. I was thinking about my life, thinking about what about my life I could share and what's important to share and what would be considered valuable, if I could make connections with people on a particular thing or a certain thing in my life, maybe the thing that's happened in my life won't be as difficult for someone else if they're dealing with something in their life, right? And so this is kind of where exactly. And so this is where my mind went to when I was thinking about writing the book. I did have more time. COVID allowed me to not have to travel into work. I worked from home, and so that commuting time allowed me or getting back my commuting time allowed me to really just think about what that would be like. And then I finally just made the decision, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start writing things down. I'm going to like day by day write out like a chapter, or like spend 20 minutes here or 40 minutes there writing. And that was my why. My why came from a place of, there's something that I really feel like that I have learned from. There's an experience that I have gone through that if I can share it with other people, perhaps it won't be as difficult for them, or at the very least, they can know that they're not alone, right? In whatever it is that they're going through. So for me, that was my initial why. And then, to be quite honest, Winston and I had these conversations about this book that he dropped during the pandemic. And I recognized that when he said that immediately, that story that he just told you guys, oh, there's like a line of a table of people or a panel of people, and one of those individuals is an author. Immediately, everybody's looking at that person like, yeah, they have a certain authority, they have a certain wisdom, knowledge, experience, chutzpah. Because like, how many people do you know who say like they want to write a book, but then never do? Like, I want to write a book, but then like never get it done. And so, sorry, a phrase just came to mind while I was saying this is I don't know who said it, and it may just be like a cultural
Anonymous kind of
proverb.
thing.
Yeah, but if you want to hide something, put it in a book.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that I've heard that.
Right. So but at the same time you're thinking, but that's how I
Oh,
can
that's
get
so
to as
deep.
more people, right? Like I
So
can't be
deep.
there for everyone all the time, but if I can write down my thoughts, if I can write down my experiences and then people read it, I can touch someone, I can help someone without even physically being present, is what I was thinking, right?
No. That's so
And
good.
and
Man,
and
that's so
so
good.
even though that saying is if you want to hide something, put it in a book, which is also kind of true because there are a lot of people who don't even read. But the people I'm really looking to reach are the people who do read and who may come across my book, or maybe it gets referred to them. So
Something else. Yeah. Guys, that's so powerful. I mean, drop some fire in the chat. I mean, that one is a bonus training if I have ever heard it. One of the and I'm gonna deviate just for a little bit, but one of the things that's obvious, like we talked about it on the show, is just how important we've found personal development to be in our lives. And that part there about there's things we've read in books that, again, it seems so simple, but it's somebody articulating it in a way that maybe translates to you, or just even the fact that it's put somewhere that you can go over and over and over again. That's so key. So even stepping into this idea of what it means to be an authority and an author is definitely something I think, to Janelle's point, I don't think everyone should be dropping what they're doing to endeavor to do this. But if there's that thing in you, and this is funny to me now, because I had no interest in doing this. I saw the opportunity, was looking for the results that it promised, this idea of, hey, and here's the way I looked at it, to even the analogy Janelle shared. I looked at it as is like fishing with dynamite, right? Because that's what I'm looking for now. It's like when in our industry, what we're doing is we're going out, you're talking to someone, you're having to build rapport and trust with this person in a very short period of time. In some instances, even if you're going out on like a 2-on-1, if I'm coming to support Janelle, whatever the case may be, if Janelle edifies me, we've probably all been there. Hopefully, if you're out and working the business. But even in an edification, imagine somebody edifying me. It's my friend Winston. He's great. He's this. But what's amazing is not only he's passionate about what he does, but he just dropped a book talking about his way to get to whatever your subject is. If I'm the person sitting across from that, in that 2-on-1, I'm like, what? This brother dropped a book? Like, okay. As opposed to, again, my friend, I trust him. I know those things make a difference. But guys, it's like, what is that extra thing that we can do to put ourselves in a better position that as we present our concepts, right, people are deciding to partner with you? Like I see a lot of my mentors, and they will even tell you this, like the success, they still get no's, but the success makes a difference. Janelle talks about moving her business online. What it really, again, we're talking to you guys as real people building, like what it means now to monetize her Instagram, have people reaching out to her about our business or other things that we do as entrepreneurs, but through online, because we realize we can touch whatever, you're up to like what now, 14,000, however many hundreds of people that she can hit on Instagram with one post, as opposed to what it would mean to sit down and call each of her friends to tell them about a new product or something she's working on. Guys, in this digital marketplace, we are literally two people looking at these things, learning reels, how to get money, but from like, we're out here doing these things. And even in the beginning of looking at this, I still had a voice that was like, you can't do that. Like, you want to do something that would make your business, but I literally had a voice. I remember sitting outside and praying about this. And the question I had to ask myself when I had the voice that was like, no, don't even apply. Because so my process is, and that I'll get more specific. I went through a process with my mentor, and this may be something that's offered to you guys if you decide to go this route, where I co-authored this book with other people. My mentor, I'll drop his name, Matt Morris. Again, 6-figure income earner, amazing stories. I mean, you can go in Millionaire. The Unemployed Millionaire was one of his books that we read. Amazing story. And so Matt put this offer out. And the way you do it is you go through an interview process with his a guy that directs his company. So get this straight, guys. I don't even make the decision on whether or not I can take part in the book unless this person okays it for me, right? And I had that understanding. But even with my limiting beliefs, I was hesitant on making the call or even applying to even go after this, simply because I didn't believe that I could ever. I, again, had no ambition, but truthfully, it really came down to I never saw myself as somebody who would have anything worthy to put in a book that others would read. And I didn't have to confront that until this presented itself. Like, it wasn't like I was walking around going like, you can't write a book. Like, I'd probably never even had that thought until the opportunity was presented to me. And then immediately I'm sitting there going, you can't even do that. Like, how dare you? And it was that now that made me decide, like, you know what, I have to at least apply. It's one thing if this guy rejects me and says I don't have anything to offer this specific project, but it's another thing to not even step out and say, hey, I'm gonna take a chance and go after this thing. So for me, guys, that you may not always find that, maybe just like, I guess, a lesson from that, the motivation or that desire. Maybe you have a voice saying you shouldn't do something. And I'm definitely saying that you should buck against that and go after whatever that thing is.
That's so good. So a couple of things. I think it's really important that Winston outline like how this even got presented to him, right? Because that's also the difference between he and I, and that like he wasn't thinking like, oh, let me write a book. It was the opportunity was presented to him like, hey, do you want to write a book with us, right? Which I think is a lot different in terms of like how you could do this. So this is great because now you guys are learning there are many different ways that you can actually be an author.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just you. And so Winston went through this process. He was telling me about the authority thing. I was like, I have a story to tell, but that authority thing though is real. And like, I do actually want that because I would then like the book to then allow people to say, oh, I have authority to then go and do workshops on what I'm doing. So for those of you who don't know, my book is about shame and creating shame resiliency, dealing with that in terms of relationships and other things, and just how like when you're in a spiral of shame, it can cause it could just cause you to do things, self-sabotage. That's what I was looking for. It can cause you to do things like self-sabotage, make poor decisions, do things that like you probably never think that you would do, and then all of a sudden you're doing, right? And essentially how you can create resiliency to get around that and
or not how the shame is not letting you do things.
Yes. Or
that's actually that's where for me it's funny. Again, what Janelle's book is about to be really what touches on is what I was experiencing. I use the term limiting belief because I was taught that vernacular. But when Janelle starts teaching me about the stuff with the shame and like, I mean, her book is going to be fine. I mean, giving you guidelines about recognizing what certain shame triggers are and how you respond to things. Guys, I didn't realize I was experiencing shame in thinking that I was worthy to put. I mean, go ahead, Jay. It's going to be just some good stuff.
No, thank you. I'm so glad that it moves you because that's the whole point. Is I'm hoping that it moves other people who might be going through something similar, right? Anyway, so I say all that to say, like, I would like to be an authority on that though, right? And so like I could just talk about it and I could be like, hey, come, I want to do this workshop, let's do this thing. But I also recognize people may not want to do that with me, or they may like not trust me. But this writing a book on it immediately gives me a little bit more authority than maybe other people who are out there doing it. And so like, yeah, I want to capitalize on that. So for me, it was a little bit interesting because again, I'm not doing this. I'm not co-authoring it with other people. So it is just kind of me all by myself, dodo. And I think what's interesting is as Winston and I talk about this, you're learning like what you get when you invest to do this with somebody else who can do a lot of like the little minutia things for you. And so I am learning a ton. I am learning what it means to actually like put your book out on Amazon. How do you become a #1 bestseller on Amazon? I mean, we all know for the New York Times, there's like some stuff involved that is outside of your control, but it looks like that there's a little bit more control that you have about this with Amazon specifically. But anytime that you're, a #1 bestseller, that's a big deal, right? People really look at that. And so it's like another stamp of like authority on that. And so I'm learning like all these new things about how to get all of those things in place. Just like even formatting, how do you format the book? Like there are a ton of things that now when you're doing this on your own. So I'm doing a lot of the sweat equity that Winston didn't have to do because he invested in a group and an organization. One had already done it before, so they already knew the knowledge and already knew how to get all that together. and they could put certain things in place to make sure like things like #1 bestseller and those types of things can occur. So I feel like everything else, like any other business that you start, there is still going to be a learning curve. So if you want that authority, it's still really important to get. I think again, recognize where you are. If you're a real estate agent, boom, you're going to, why wouldn't you want to be an authority in what you do? And if you have a book on
Absolutely.
it, that might be the thing. If you're out there, maybe you're a social media person, right? Like maybe you help other people ramp up their social media. If that's you, then like again, if you wrote a book on this, and I get it, social media and all things technology goes really fast, but still, even if you wrote like a little book on it that you could update from time to time, boom, like you're already authority over all of those other people out there who say that they can help you increase your social media platform. Um, if you're a jewelry designer, I mean, we're gonna we're gonna have some really cool people on. If you're a life coach, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
imagine if you wrote a book about something to help like inspire people, whatever, right? Like your authority level now just goes that much higher because you wrote a book. So I'm just trying to think of like all the random like
Well,
ideas or businesses that people may have, but I think ultimately, if you're trying to figure out if this could be good for you, I think the answer is yes. You have to think about what you want to do with that. Think about if you have the time for it, because it does take time. Unless you invest in coaches or
the system.
individuals who can help
Hmm.
you with the process, and they're out there too. There's a bunch of them who are out there. They're more than willing to help you. And I definitely think it's worth it because you're just outsourcing your time, right? They can handle all that minutia stuff, so you can go deal with your business.
So I will say to Janelle's point about depending on how you decide to go about this process, if you decide to do it, having the system set up is key. It definitely they did the Amazon thing for me. They designed my book cover for me after taking pictures. I know Janelle had a lot more say. So there's like a give and take in this now. So I had less say in something like that because I'm going into something that is already, it's almost turnkey. I would actually think that that's the best way to describe it. It's a turnkey plug-in. Like I had set amount of words that I was told to write. I couldn't go beyond that point. So there's some limiting factors now because now I'm actually excited. Janelle and I are talking about, oh, let's do a book together now after you finish yours and so on. Because now I'm like, oh, there's actually a few things that I would want to share my experience on. And that's the big thing I want to leave us with, just I guess at the end of this. Initially, when I was thinking about why I couldn't share anything on this, is because I didn't really, I think, take the time to understand that and obviously not all books are set up this way, but what a lot of the books that maybe do that inspire people are in the space that I think we're in motivation and that kind of business. It's sharing that story, that your 3-step or, elaborate. Like there are many people who, again, I'll speak to our industry. You're getting up and you're sharing your why. It's like, why did you get involved with a thing that like what we do, and you have maybe if your team does it a certain way, you have maybe 30 seconds to 45 seconds. Like you're up there and it's pain, like saw the solution. Here's the success, right? But in a book, guys, you get to really elaborate on aspects of your life, different things that have shaped you, that have brought you to the places that you've become. In all areas, we have a lot of success. Many of us maybe don't see it that way. I was thinking about, even as Janelle was throwing out the different ideas. Guys, if you're a real estate agent and you're like, well, what am I going to write about? If you have just think back to 5 of the funniest, people you took out and showed apartments and write about that. You know what I mean? Like, think about the biggest deals that you did. Like, regardless of what the dollar amount was, like, you can literally, like, just share aspects of your life. There are people who are going to be inspired more so than you ever think. Literally, just the research Janelle's done for her book has helped me really start to look at things. That's not even the book yet. So it's not even like the condensed work and all the stuff, like she says, minutia stuff. It's like, this is just the stuff that you had to look at to put in the book first, has helped me address certain things in life that I didn't even know was something, because I may not have even picked this up. You know what I mean? Honestly, it's one of those things. It's like, put the solution in a book, like she said, and I wouldn't have even thought to go look for this stuff. And I think many of us are, like I said, going through life having certain things aren't maybe going the way you want, and the answer probably is in a book somewhere. And I would encourage all of us to become more readers. I had to be, honest. I do way more Audible and audios than I do paper book, but I have definitely had to be somebody who has to rethink how I approach education and realize that school kind of ruined it for me personally, because they made it into like a chore, and learning is a lot of fun if you find the right subjects to help improve your life. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Janelle, you're muted.
Thank you. As an educator, I would agree. Once you find the thing that you want to learn about, then all of a sudden learning becomes a lot of fun. Sorry, but I did want to address Jeannie's question. I think that's a good question. Is gaining authority the same as gaining credibility in this? And it's so funny because when I read this first, I thought it was the same as gaining celebrity in this, which to a certain degree could, sometimes there is some celebrity in that. So I would say that, yes, credibility and authority, I think, probably are synonymous in the way that we're talking about it. I think the only thing that authority adds to this is just the idea that not only are you credible in what you're saying, like, oh, thanks, Jeannie. Not only are you credible in what you're saying, but like, there's a certain like power differential almost. I think that authority connotates that like credibility doesn't. So you can be credible, but do you have like, there's like a power influence in there that maybe we need to like look up the definition for.
I was just about to say we actually need to go look up what those actually mean.
Authority, but
because I was gonna say credible, maybe not if you're not being honest in what you put out. Because you could definitely put out something. Like I could put out a book, let's say, that talks about my network marketing career and exaggerate numbers, lie about the success. And if people now come out, if people decide to partner with me because of this, because again, I'll keep it real with you guys. A part of me putting this book out was, like I said, for people to see this on my social media and be like, this guy is serious he's a serious businessman. I'll put it that way, because the topic is breakthrough success, right? And I'm leveraging Matt Morris's, name and the fact of who he is in this industry. He is in network marketing. So this is, again, even this platform, it came about because Janelle and I would have conversations where I was tired of being in the closet about network marketing. Like, I'm like hiding. I can't tell people I do network marketing. Like, God forbid, like a lot of the reason we're here is because of that. So putting this book out was, again, another opportunity for me to say, if anyone's read it, I share how network marketing came into my life, how Janelle and I mean, Janelle wouldn't even be a friend of mine, business partner, let alone any of that, if it wasn't for network marketing. So I owe a lot of where I am in life and the things that I've had the opportunity to do this industry. So this book gave me an opportunity to talk to people openly about that. So I looked at it that way. But if I could get in here and be like, oh, I've enrolled this and I'm in this rank in my company and blah, 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 then I don't agree that just because I put it out, would I be credible?
So I looked it up. Here's the difference between credibility and authority. So thank you, Jeannie, for bringing this up, because I think this is important. The Oxford Dictionary defines authority as the power or right to give orders, to make decisions, and enforce obedience. Unless you work in the military or a paramilitary organization, you may have a little trouble trying to enforce obedience. So credibility is defined as the quality of being trusted, convincing, or believable, which is something that we can earn rather than wait until it's bestowed upon us.
Oh, wow. That's the second timer, folks.
That is the second timer.
That's like, y'all have gone way over.
So something to chew on.
No, good one. Good stuff. Good stuff.
So I'm really excited again for all of you that were on watching live. Thank you so much for your comments, for saying hello, for staying engaged with us. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure to put an R in the comments. Let us know that you were watching on the replay. We read all the comments. We answer questions, even if you're watching the replay. We love, love, love to hear from you guys.
And guys, definitely make sure that you check out the coming weeks. We're incredibly excited to be having guests back on. But the topic that we're going to be discussing is something that we're both very excited about. I was looking for the outro stuff, Jay, but I can't find it.
Oh, well, while he's looking, please, we're
No.
going to post up some videos to watch after this. They'll either appear here or here. So make sure that you go and check out those videos as well, because they will also help you along with your business.
All right, 1 second. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's definitely gone.
Well, we can say it.
Oh no, ready?
Okay. As
As
always,
always,
remember,
remember
you
you
deserve
deserve
the good
the good
life.
life. Have a
Say
great
that.
Wednesday, you guys. We finally know it.